Do you remember when you were a kid and your mother would force you to go to bed early? We all hated sleeping early when we were kids. We used to scream, run away, and do all the tricks to avoid sleeping early. Research proves that our mothers were right. They knew what they were doing, and this book will show you why. In this book, you will learn how the sleep cycle of each person works. You'll discover that your sleeping pattern is different from everyone else. You will and you will learn the factors that influence your sleeping pattern. Once you get a good understanding of how your cycle of sleep works, you will learn the importance of sleep. You will discover the countless benefits of sleeping more than 7 hours a day, what it can do for your body and your overall health. You will also know the side effects of sleeping less than you should. You will learn how sleep deprivation can be the cause of deadly diseases such as cancer and diabetes. Not having enough sleep can also be the cause of other health problems. These problems are referred to as sleep disorders, and they are very dangerous. They can even cause instant death. In the hope of convincing you to live a healthier life, we will explain all the points mentioned above. Your health is very important, and you can't be healthy if your sleep is not as it should be. To learn more about your sleep cycle, stay tuned and listen carefully. This book may just save your life, losing and gaining control of your sleep rhythm. Have you ever wondered what makes you want to sleep at night and what makes you want to wake up in the morning? The answer is very simple. It's the sun, the first signal that makes your body decide when you want to sleep and when you want to wake up is the 24-hour body clock that you were born with. This clock sends a signal in your brain to let it know if it's daytime or nighttime. Once daylight is absent, other factors can be used to tell the brain if it is day or night. These factors include temperature, food, and social interactions. There is another factor that controls your sleep cycle. When you are awake, your brain creates a substance that keeps piling up. The longer you're awake, the more your brain releases this substance. That's why, when you stay awake for too long, this substance creates a sleep pressure that makes you feel tired and sleepy. Once daylight is absent, the brain releases a hormone called melatonin. This hormone is responsible for letting your body know that it's time for sleep. This hormone is not responsible for you falling asleep at night. It just tells the body that it's nighttime. When sunlight approaches, the body stops releasing this sleep hormone so the person starts to feel ready to wake up. The sleep cycle is very organized. Each person has his own sleep cycle because each one of us has different sets of genetics. We can control this cycle by taking pills or drinking coffee to stay awake. But the most notable factor that can mess with the sleep cycle is traveling to a different time. So, let's take the example of Sarah. Sarah traveled from San Francisco to England, and London time is 10 hours ahead of San Francisco. When Sarah arrived in England, the clock in the airport was showing that it's 9 a.m. For Sarah, it was already 1 a.m. Californian time. She knew that it was 1 a.m. in her hometown, and her body knew it as well. Remember that when we said we have an internal clock that got used to our cycle of sunrise and sundown, our temperature, our mealtime, and our social interactions. When you move to a new time zone, your body will keep running on the same factors that were controlling your sleep cycle. That's why we feel jet-lagged. Sarah was no different for her body. It was 1 a.m. and she should have been asleep 3 hours ago. Now in London it was 9 a.m. She has to go to work immediately even though her body is in a state of sleepiness. The worst for Sarah is falling asleep at night because when it's midnight in London, it's 4 a.m. in California. So by midnight, when everyone is asleep, Sarah's sleep cycle is demanding to wake up. Research proves that the body will adjust itself to the new sleep cycle of the current location. The body will adjust 1 hour a day. So for Sarah, since the time difference is 8 hours, it took her 8 days to get used to the sleep cycle of London time. Sarah could have taken a melatonin pill to trigger a state of sleep. As we discussed earlier, triggering sleep is not the same thing as falling asleep. It is better to let the body adjust naturally to the new sleep cycle than use pills or coffee to control it. Defining and generating sleep. Imagine that you have a group of friends coming over. and you notice that one of them has fallen asleep. What makes you sure that your friend is asleep? Why don't you consider the fact that maybe your friend has fainted or he's in a state of a coma? The answer is because we got used to identifying the signals of sleep pattern. If a person is asleep, he leans in the most comfortable position, he no longer communicates with the group, and he can wake up easily. We can also know when we are asleep. When we are no longer conscious of the world around us and we lose track of time, that's how we know that we are asleep. In 1952, a research was done by university professors named Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman. Aserinsky was studying the eye movement of infants while they were asleep. He noticed that their eye movements changed in a regular pattern. In a sudden movement, the eye would shift from side to side under the lids. When they studied the brain response accompanying these eye movements, the professors found that the brain signals were similar to the state of being awake. After these sudden eye movements, the brain waves would slow down. Then the eyes would stop moving again. To watch the results closer, Kleitman chose his infant daughter Esther for observation. The results showed significant facts. The professors concluded that humans don't just lose consciousness, but they cycle through two types of sleep during the night. Although there is no proof, in theory, our brain keeps repeating a cycle of two types of sleep because the body is rebuilding itself at night. You can think of it like a computer. 1 hour of sleep to download all the data, then an instant of awakening to update the settings. Except our bodies are more complicated than a computer will ever be. So what this study has taught us is that when we sleep, we are updating our brains for the next. That's why sleeping 8 hours a day is very important for our health. Your mother in Shakespeare knew the benefits of sleep for the brain. Do you want to live longer? Then sleep more. It's as simple as that. Research proves that sleeping more than 6 hours a day will enhance your memory, increase your creativity, make you more beautiful, stop you from overeating and gaining weight, as well as prevent cancer and dementia. When your body is healthy and you're not eating more than you should, you will not have diabetes, depression, or heart attacks. These are all the benefits of having a good night's sleep. To give you a clear example, let's look at the effect of good sleep on the brain. As we described in the previous chapter, when we sleep, we don't just lose consciousness. The body is still working. It is trying to heal and update our brain, every organ, and every cell. For instance, when we study for an exam, we learn a lot of information. How does our brain deal with this huge amount of knowledge that is suddenly pouring from every direction? To answer this question, a research team did an experiment. They gathered a group of young adults and divided them randomly into two groups. At first, both groups tried to learn as much as they could about a subject. The first group was given time to take a nap while the second group stayed awake. While the first group napped, they were being observed by using electrodes connected to their heads to measure their sleep. They took a nap of 90 minutes. While the first group was sleeping, the second group were playing games or browsing their phones. Right after the first group woke up, both groups received another session of learning more information. The results showed that the first group learned more easily and were able to memorize more knowledge. The second group, on the other hand, showed that they are no longer capable of learning and acquiring new knowledge. This proves that when we sleep, our brain stores information, allowing us to wake up fresh and ready to learn more. Cancer, heart attacks, and a shorter life, sleep deprivation, and the body. In the previous chapter, we learned that having a good night's sleep is the best way to be healthy. We learned that sleep could make you live longer, be more creative, and learn better. In this chapter, we'll look at the other side of the equation. If we don't sleep enough, what will happen to our body? Multiple types of research concluded that the less you sleep, the shorter your lifespan will be. So if you want to live and enjoy a healthy life, you have to sleep better and sleep for longer hours at night. Research also shows that a lot of deadly diseases such as heart failure, diabetes, and cancer are directly linked to sleep. To explain further the danger of sleep deprivation, let's look at the example of diabetes. It is a proven fact that when you sleep less, you eat more. Do you remember craving food when you were watching a movie late at night and craving something sweet? Yes, we've all been there. The truth is you're not hungry. You are sleepy, but because you want to stay awake, your body has mixed signals. The more you eat, the more you gain weight. When you become obese, you become more susceptible to having type 2 diabetes. A controlled experiment was made by researchers to study the relationship between sleep and diabetes. A group of healthy participants was taken to the lab. After careful analysis, these participants proved to be very healthy and have no sign of diabetes. This group of people was instructed to sleep only 4 hours at night for a whole week. By the end of the week, the result of their blood sugar scan showed some shocking news. They were healthy a week ago, but after sleeping only 4 hours, they were now 40% at risk of having type 2 diabetes. To draw a clear picture for you, this group of participants went into the lab very healthy and came out showing prediabetes signs. Just missing a few hours of sleep for 1 week made a significant change in these participants. Imagine how much damage bad sleeping habits is doing to your health. See how important sleep is? So if you want a healthy body, you should start having more than 6 hours of sleep every day. Things that go bump in the night, sleep disorders and death caused by no sleep. In addition to the countless diseases that we mentioned in the previous chapter, sleep abnormalities can cause more damaging effects on the body of the patient. Studies prove that there are over 100 sleep disorders that we know of. These include sleep attacks, body paralysis, homicidal sleepwalking, and possible death of extreme insomnia. To prove the danger of these sleep disorders, we will look at the example of somnambulism. Somnambulism refers to the type of disorder when the person is performing any action while sleeping. These actions can be walking in your sleep, eating in your sleep, talking or texting in your sleep. And sometimes it can evolve to more dangerous stages where in his sleep. In 1987, Kenneth Parks was only 23 years old. He was living with his wife and his daughter in Toronto. Parks had no job and he was losing a lot of money because of his gambling addiction. He was in a lot of debt too, so he was stressed and he was experiencing extreme insomnia. Parks was kind and gentle even though he is very tall and huge. He and his family were living a normal life until a disaster came knocking on their door. That night, exactly at 1 a.m., Parks was asleep just like everyone else in his town. Suddenly, Parks stood up, he walked to his car barefoot, then drove to his in-laws' house. He entered the house, went directly to the kitchen, took a knife and then went upstairs. Went directly to the bedroom. He stabbed his mother-in-law to death and strangled his father-in-law. The mother-in-law died, but the father-in-law survived the tragic accident. Parks drove back home after his sleepwalking mission. When he was driving, he suddenly woke up to find himself covered in blood. Parks drove directly to the police station. He explained that he woke up like this and that he thinks he killed someone. Parks was diagnosed with severe insomnia and sleepwalking. That is why he was proven not guilty and he didn't go to prison. Just because he was free doesn't mean he was living a normal life. After that tragic accident, Parks had to live with the guilt of killing his mother-in-law forever. We told you this story not because we want you to have nightmares at night, but because we want you to know that having the required amount of sleep every day is essential in your life. Everyone knows that you are busy and that you have big dreams, but sleeping less will cause you more damage. Just learn from what happened to Kenneth Parks. iPads, factory whistles, and nightcaps? What's stopping you from sleep? Do you wake up feeling very tired every day? So do I. In this modern age, everyone is feeling tired because of lack of sleep. Even those who are sleeping 8 hours a day are feeling tired in the morning because the quality of their sleep is bad. Some elements affect the quality of our sleep. These elements are essential. They include electric lights, caffeine, temperature control, and sleeping past midnight. Let's take the example of electric lights. In the past, the deciding factor of night and day was the sunlight. Now, the decision became in our hands. We can decide when our day starts and when it is finished by using electric lights. By ignoring the cycle of the sun, we are messing the rhythm of our 24-hour body clock. Our internal clock is not working the right way. We can't go to sleep when we're supposed to. We can't be fully awake and fully active when we need to. We no longer feel tired at night, so we experience sleep disorders such as insomnia. We also can't be active during the day, so we feel stressed and unproductive. Just by using your iPad, you are messing your natural sleep cycle. Research proved that using your phone or your iPad before bed will delay the release of melatonin by 2 hours, and even when it's released, 23% of this sleeping hormone will be blocked. This means that if you plan to sleep at 10 p.m., using your phone right before you go to bed is the wrong decision because you won't sleep till 12 p.m. Even when you do, your sleep quality will not be the same. To prove this fact, an experiment was done. A group of healthy adults were taken to the lab for 2 weeks. During that time, they were split into 2 groups. The first group was given an iPad to read on Kindle 5 hours before they slept. The second group was given a printed book to read 5 hours before bed. Results showed that the first group had a decrease in melatonin levels that reached 50%. They didn't sleep till 3 hours later, and they didn't wake up early in the morning. The second group slept peacefully, right on time, and they woke up right on time as well. So even if you're reading a book before bed, don't read from an iPad. Read a printed copy instead. You'll sleep faster and better if you do. Conclusion in this book: you learned that the amount and the quality of your sleep are very important for your health. You discovered that when you're sleeping, your body is rebuilding itself. Think of how important that can be for living a long and healthy life. When you sleep less than you need, every day, you will expose your body to all kinds of diseases. You will increase your chances of dying young by either cancer or diabetes. Not to mention the sleep disorders that you can experience. These sleep disorders may seem like easy problems at first, but they can develop extreme results that can lead to death. So if you value your life, you have to rethink your sleeping habits. You may need to let go of your phone in the evening to have better sleeping hours. People have been looking for a magical cure that will keep them young and beautiful forever. They ignore that having a good night's sleep is that magical cure. So from today, start sleeping more, start sleeping better, and enjoy a long, healthy life.